of you all know this, he was part of the hip-hop caucus, and the entire time he's smirking, looking at my introduction, and all he's thinking is a great lyric by Public Enemy, "Don't believe the hype." I am thrilled to be here. That was an overly generous introduction. The reality is we're all in this together. We're all fighting in the same trench. We should not take each other too seriously. We should take the mission seriously. We should take the people we serve seriously. But we should never allow our egos to grow bigger than the mission and the humility of a lot of the people that are struggling in this country for the basic rights that we, every day when we pledge allegiance to the flag, we make this assertion that just is not true. You're not a country of liberty and justice for all. Those are aspirational ideals, and we're all in the fight. And I stand here first of all, just like Mustafa, I have parents that would always check me. My father would be like, boy, you got more degrees in the month of July, but you ain't hot. When are you going to prove worthy of all these blessings that you got and do something in service of other people? And my parents humbled me by making me understand that that I was where I was because of this incredible effort and tradition and history of this country of activism, of ordinary Americans who made extraordinary commitments to the cause of our country. And they were very grateful for the grassroots folk who they felt a kinship with, that were still active in places like Newark and Patterson and Passaic. I was in Camden on Monday, just seeing good folk who are still with their hands on the plow, have other options in life that are just not leading the fight. But my parents also were very great at pointing out the power of certain professions, and one of them is the reason why I'm so happy to be here right now, which is the power of the lawyers, of everyday lawyers to use their education and their training to do good work. I'm here right now because when my parents were facing, most people know New Jersey is like the fifth most segregated state in America. Is a legacy of overt discriminatory laws stemming from Washington, D.C. To the state of New Jersey. And even when those laws stopped, there were still practices of discrimination that kept our state segregated. My family, when they moved from Washington, D.C. To New Jersey, found incredible real estate stealing. And it wasn't until the Fair Housing Council connected with my parents and they got a group of lawyers to start a sting operation where they would be sent to look at a home, and they were told it was sold. A white couple would come mostly with home buyers right after them and find out the house was still for sale. And on the day my parents found this house they loved, they were told it was sold. White couple came still for sale. They put a bid on the house, and the bid was accepted. The white couple's bid was accepted. The papers were drawn up, and on the day of the closing, the white couple didn't show up. My dad did, and a volunteer lawyer. A guy named Marty Friedman, and they marched in to confront the real estate agent. Marty stood in front of him and started this incredible civil rights speech. My father said they didn't even get into it because the real estate agent was so angry that he was he stands up and punches my dad's lawyer in the face, or punches Marty in the face, and sticks a dog on my dad. And every time my dad would tell the story, trust me, the dog would get bigger. Eventually, as a little kid growing up, it'd be like, son, I fought a pack of wolves to get you in this house. But the heroism of everyday lawyers to change destinies is pretty incredible. And so, for me, my life has been about trying to prove worthy of the struggle. Because my parents never let me think that somehow, I made it because of myself. They knew two things. One, my parents, my dad again, would always check me and just say, boy, I'm 18 years old, I had more teenage swagger than anybody had in this room when you were teenagers. I thought I was something special. I'd be walking around my house, and my father would say, boy, don't you dare walk around here like you hit a triple. You were born on third base. They wanted me to know that I stood on the shoulders of folks who had fought and struggled, sacrificed, and died for me. But they also wanted me to know that the America I was experiencing just wasn't the reality. And that my sense of justice was tied up in the justice that being experienced by other folks, and they weren't experiencing justice. And the life I was living was lied and dangerous. And so, I got started right away. And I want you to know, I didn't become an environmentalist because I was worried about global warming. environmentalist because I was concerned about penguins or polar bears. I became an environmentalist because I was living in Newark. I came there because I was an activist and believed in confronting issues of poverty and disadvantage, and was running around with some incredible leaders. I always say I got my BA from Stanford and my PhD on the streets of Newark, and from some amazing tenant activists. But when I started seeing things that were unconscionable to me, so offensive to me, right in my own community, dealt with the environment, I realized that the real environmental issues of this country, the most pressing, urgent need were issues of environmental racism and issues of environmental injustice. And what I mean by that is, when you live in a community where the lead paint poisoning rates are epidemic, here were families struggling to lead the American dream, working hard, but their children were being addled by lead. Here I was in a community where the asthma rates were 3 and 4 times higher, where things were plowed into this urban community here in New Jersey that other folks didn't want in their neighborhoods. Most privileged communities didn't want the incinerator. They didn't want the sewage treatment facility. And then when I see that I live in Newark around 2 Superfund sites, and now we have longitudinal data that show that children born within a mile or so of a Superfund site have 20% higher rates of birth defects, 20% higher rates of autism. When I started seeing kids in my community, emergency rooms for asthma, addled by lead, when I started seeing children in my community trying to do what I did as a child with my grandfather, who went to HBCU in Arkansas and learned about agriculture, and took me in my backyard and planted tomatoes, planted zucchini, showed me how vegetables grow. Then I go to do the same thing in New York by creating urban farming, trying to deal with our food deserts, and the state agricultural organization, Environmental Protection Agency, comes in and tells me, you can't plant in the soil. And I'm like, what do you mean? I've got this vision. I'm going to turn this block. Adam Zippin in the back right there was the leader of my economic development team running this project for me when I was mayor. Like, you can't plant in the soil because the soil is toxic. And we have to do the whole project in plant boxes. What happens to humanity? What happens to human dignity when you're separated from your air, when you're separated from your water, when you're separated from your soil? When literally you are growing up in a toxic environment that is saddling you with diseases and conditions, and then you are expected to deal with poverty on top of that, working full-time jobs and still having to live in public housing. Then you are on top of that schools that aren't serving your genius. Then on top of that, you're with a criminal justice system that is not fair. It's targeting poor people and minorities. Then on top of that, you deal with rates of violence, where you have trauma and shrines to dead children all over your cities, street-corner vigils and candles. How is that equality? How is that justice for all? And something I'm learning now that I'm a senator representing an entire state as part of a federal body is that as much as I had nights where I would come home so angry, I would just sit on the couch and I would curl up with my 2 best friends, Ben and Jerry, and turn on, Stewart and Colbert, hoping that they would make me laugh at them. You feel so isolated and angry, but the reality is that's another illusion. We in this country have so much common pain, but we don't have a common purpose. We have a common pain, but we're lacking a common purpose. The issues facing New York are not an anomaly. We know this. People want to talk about Flint as if Flint, Michigan is an anomaly. Well, Reuters put out 3,000 communities with twice the lead levels. The kids have twice the lead levels in Flint. Scott and I have been friends now for some time, but we took a trip. I went through the Black Belt in the South. And I sat in rural Alabama in churches full of black folks who were experiencing things that made me feel this connection of urban Newark Tallahassee, Georgia, Tallahassee, Alabama, Uniontown, Alabama, where a level of corporate villainy in this country, like, it just like sin, like I had never seen it, where the corporations running these massive landfills would never do that to their own community. And folks in churches telling me that they can't put their clothes on lines anymore because their clothes will reek with the stench when they bring them in. That they told them not to eat the fruit from the trees on their land anymore because it's poison. Where they can't keep their windows open anymore. When the only wealth they had, passed down for generations going back to Reconstruction, has been stolen from them by these corporations. Where they can't now sell their land because it's become rendered worthless. And this is all bad, but what's the worst is what it's doing to their bodies. Again, the assault to bodies. To stand in Uniontown and hear stories about the Tuskegee syphilis experiment and have people tell me it is happening all over again, this time not injecting individual bodies, but injecting entire communities with toxicity. I went to Duplin County, North Carolina. And I could not believe that this is my country. Where I watch farming have been destroyed by these massive agro-businesses that destroyed small farmers in this country. Rendered them near sharecropping. These poor pig farmers now that have entered into these ungodly contracts with these massive international conglomerates. Smithfield, the largest one, a Chinese-owned company. Seeing these massive capos, concentrated animal feeding operations, covered because, God forbid, Americans see what's going on inside. But the pigs who produce 10 times the feces in an individual, millions of pigs, 9 million pigs in North Carolina, 9 million people in New Jersey. But we have waste treatment plants. I told you about one in Newark. But there's no waste treatment facility. They have nowhere to put the excrement flowing through the grates into these massive lagoons. And then they spray this excrement on spray fields, and I stood there on the side of the road watching the spray. Some of it settles, but if anybody has run a sprinkler in their home, a lot of it mists off of the property. And where are these communities? Are these wealthy communities? Are these privileged communities that these capos have moved into? No. They're poor communities. They're black communities. And now, what do we have in those communities? I sat with the activists. Respiratory diseases, cancers, can't open your windows, can't run your air conditioning, can't put your laundry outside. The value of your land stolen, and your body again. Your health stolen from you by a level of corporate villainy that is outrageous, that is unacceptable, that nobody would tolerate anywhere in this country, and it's foisted upon vulnerable communities. Cancer Alley, how could you have a place in this country where you just say Cancer Alley and people know what you're talking about? Oh, this is Louisiana. This is the stretch of the Mississippi between Baton Rouge and between New Orleans. Again, going to historic black communities where they traced the history on that land back to slavery. Sitting in churches where people are crowding in, not to see me, but they're just so happy that a federal official, any federal official, will come down and listen to the hell in which they're living. I was handed the data when I got there. The data that shows that they're pushing out pollutants into the air well above the EPA regulating standards. And person after person in that church stands up and talks about their family members who died of cancer in Cancer Alley and how they can't sell their land. This is the United States of America, coast to coast, north to south, communities who are facing levels of environmental injustice that is so unacceptable, and levels of disease that don't belong in a nation this wealthy and this rich, as corporations are outsourcing all of their pain and their costs onto communities, and in turn up here based off of the suffering of communities. I sat with Peter Hotak, a specialist doctor that treats neglected tropical diseases, to talk to him I'm the ranking member of the subcommittee on Africa. And I'm concerned about tropical diseases in Africa. And he sits down with me and starts talking to me about these diseases. And then he says, by the way, there are millions of Americans suffering them, and there are doctors who don't even think they exist on our continent anymore. And so I called up one of the activists in Lowndes County, Alabama. Catherine Forrest, went down to visit with her. I could not believe what I saw. Raw sewage running through people's backyards, poor folk, minority folk, getting worms and intestinal diseases that their doctors don't even know to test for because they think it should not exist in this country. He said, there's a dream in this land with its back against the wall. To save the dream for one, you must save the dream for all. And so we're all in this together. This is a fight from the grassroots to the Capitol building. It is no less urgent than the fight for civil rights. It is no less urgent than the fight for housing rights. It is no less urgent than the fight for voting rights. In fact, everything I named right there, if you take away a person's health, what's the sense of having civil rights if you've got cancer that keeps you in bed? What's the sense of having voting rights if your intestines are infected with worms and diseases that should have been eradicated in a nation this wealthy? Fundamental to the very American ideal of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is environmental justice. And so I feel people say your piece of legislation, we really have to watch our personal pronouns in these cases. My team in the back there spent months and months in working with grassroots environmental groups from coast to coast, listening to them and saying, if we have put together an environmental justice bill, what do you want in it? And that's what we put. First of all, guys like Mustafa really needs a haircut, y'all. I mean, damn, man. Making guys like us feel so inadequate. Guys like Mustafa who worked in administration, helped craft executive orders that made federal agencies do more than they were doing before, not to Mustafa life, but more than they were doing before to address these issues. We need to make sure that that's codified into law. So that when you get the Scott Pruitts and the Donald Trumps of the world, they can't just, with a stroke of a pen, erode a decade's worth of progress. That's in the legislation. How you cannot take the cumulative effect when you're permitting clean air, clean water, instead of just isolating the impact of this one thing that's applying to the permit, you have to take the cumulative effect. And when you add yet another thing to Newark, yet another thing to Tallahassee, yet another thing to Dublin County, you have to take the cumulative effect. That's common sense. It's not a radical bill. That's in this bill. And then what we're seeing, this trend in America that is so frightening to me, and you see it from everything like campaign finance law, where suddenly corporations are people, so you see it in environmental law, where corporation after corporation is indemnified, is protected from lawsuits. But we're giving the power in this bill back to the people to allow them, like my father, trying to move into a town, have the right to sue. And we're giving that back to communities so that they have the right to take legal action against these corporate villains who are stealing from them, taking away from them, their families, and future generations. I want to end with just this feeling that I get sometimes, and I have to say I'm guilty, as everybody is. So sometimes the problem seems so big, and I feel like I'm banging my head against the wall. And sometimes, especially with an administration like this, you wonder why, how. Are we going to bring justice? It seems so dark, it seems so bleak. I just want to end just finishing the story I told you in the beginning. When I became a senator, my father died 6 days before I was elected. And I came to the Senate. My mom was smart. She was like, before you become the United States Senator, I'm taking you to meet John Lewis. And it was an amazing meeting to sit down with this titan of a human being. He was so damn humble. Wouldn't let my mom and I get up and get more bricks. He was serving us. And telling me how much it meant to him that I would be elected the fourth elected African American in the history of our country, the United States Senate. And how moved he was. He left there, my mom was on fire. It's never happened probably in this country where a guy's going to get sworn in as the United States Senator, his mother's lecturing him the whole way. Boy, don't you forget where you came from, the struggle, the sacrifice. Don't forget the title doesn't make the man, the man's got to make the title. I get sworn in and my career starts. But eventually, about a year ago, I decided to write a book and I decided to go back and try to make sure every story that I learned as a child was true or not. I had to figure out, when I write the story, was it a dog that my dad fought, or was it a pack of wolves? And so I call up to find these people who helped my family. Tried to find the head of the Fair Housing Council from the 1960s, and she was easy to find. Because she's still the head of the Fair Housing Council. Okay, you want to talk about people? I'm half her age. She's 91 years old. This lead reporter still fighting for justice. Now she's not representing black families, Muslim families, same-sex couples. That is what greatness is. Decades and decades fighting, never giving up. You may not solve all the problems, but she was there, still there for families in need. And then I said to her, I need to find a lawyer. I gotta find a lawyer that was in the room. I need to know, pack of wolves or not. And she says to me, I'm sorry, but Marty Friedman is passed away. And I felt shame. Like, how many of us in this room right tonight go on Facebook and send a text, say thank you to somebody that deserves a thank you? I don't care if it's a fifth grade teacher, a lacrosse coach, whatever. We just don't say thank you to each other enough. And I felt shame that I didn't. She saw the shame. She said, look, there's a lawyer that organized all these other lawyers. You should meet that person. And you can thank him and find out the facts of the matter. And I said, okay. And I called him up, he's Arthur Lessman. Who did I call him? Because he soon died about a year. He's 84 years old. And the end of the story really says, I asked him why he did what he did. Why would this white guy who was just starting out in his career and just put a shingle out, why would he, when he didn't have any money, why would he help all these black families trying to integrate an affluent community, his community? And he said to me, well, I remember the day that I made the decision. I go, okay, March, whatever, what's the date? He goes, no, when I said the date, I remember it was a Monday. And I said, it was a Monday? How do you know it was Monday? He goes, because that Sunday I was sitting on my couch, comfortable, watching a movie, and they cut in. And suddenly they showed the news of a whole bunch of people on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. People trying to march from Selma through Lowndes County, from Selma to Montgomery. And I watched with horror at them being beaten with billy clubs and tear gas. It was awful, horrific scene. And I came to work that next day, that Monday. I told my partner, we got to go to Alabama. He laughed, not because the situation was funny, but just because what was funny is we couldn't even afford a plane ticket, not to mention it closed our business. And we sat back and decided that we can't solve the problems of segregation in the South. Maybe we can do the best we can with what we have, where we are. And they got on the phone and started calling around people who needed lawyers to help with anything to do with civil rights. And they found this reporter of the Fair Housing Council. They were handed some case files. A few years later, the case files they were handed, Mr. Arthur Lessman was handed with my parents' case file, Harry Garland. And I tell you that right now to tell you that this is a massive problem. What I have seen haunts me, what I've seen in this country. But what I want everyone here to leave with is maybe not just the technical specifics from really some great experts, but I want you to leave here to understand that you yourself, what you choose to do today, tomorrow, over the coming weeks, can make a difference. If one person, if I think that one by standing up and even failing to use their definition, just standing up in resistance to segregation, that they instantaneously, their love, their righteousness, instantaneously in that one act would change literally 1,000 miles and change the heart of someone in New Jersey, who then go on and change the outcome for families, change the outcome for generations yet unborn. That is the power of righteous action. It leaves space and time, has impact far beyond it even know. Just standing up and saying something. The opposite of justice is not injustice, it is silence, it is indifference, it is inaction. We must stand up in this country and wake up the moral imagination of our neighbors. Wake up the consciousness of this country. Let them know what is going on, because we are violating our principles and our ideals, but nothing will change